Man, I really hate making these videos. It seems like there is some unfortunate news coming out of the Red Sox camp today, and it looks like Yu Chang's going to miss a pretty decent amount of time. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Seat Radio. My name is Corbin. Just a heads up before we get into the video, we are going to be live on this channel tonight at 6:30 p.m. Eastern time to watch the Red Sox take on the Orioles. If you haven't been to one yet, they are a ton of fun to watch a game together. We talk Sox, we talk really whatever you guys want to talk about. Plus, there's a good chance that as you're watching this, we are already live. Again, that is going to be tonight at 6:30 p.m. Eastern time. Anyways, going into the season, the Boston Red Sox were already really short on middle infield help, right? Yu Chang was really the only backup middle infielder on this Red Sox team, and it looks like that backup list just got even shorter with the news that we got today about Yu Chang's injury. So what we're going to do in today's video is we're going to break down Yu Chang's injury. We're going to talk about what got injured. We're going to be talking about the recovery time and what this means for Chang, and we're also going to be talking about how this is going to affect this Red Sox team, plus what they can do going forward to supplement the loss of Yu Chang. But before we get into that, do me a favor, make sure you guys have hit that subscribe and that like button. It helps these videos out a ton. It would mean a lot to me. Plus, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one. Let's get into it. Okay, so let's start by breaking down what actually happened to Yu Chang, what the injury looks like, and how long his recovery timetable could be. If you guys did not know, yesterday, about halfway through the game, Yu Chang left the game after he took a swing and miss at a baseball. It appeared as though he had injured his hand on the actual swing itself. Now, I did see some reporters say that the ball hit his hand. I did not see that, did not appear that way to me. It looked like he had injured himself on the actual swing. Either way, though, he was taken out of the game and brought back to the clubhouse. After the game, the Red Sox stated that it was right now just pain on his wrist, right? They did not have any further information that he was going to be getting tested and imaging today, but Yu Chang was overheard in the clubhouse telling teammates that, yeah, this feels pretty serious, and unfortunately, he was right, because today, just a couple of hours ago, the Red Sox announced that Yu Chang has fractured his left hamate bone. The hamate bone is in your hand. It's basically the bone that helps connect your wrist to your hand. It's right at the edge of that wrist to hand motion. So he's probably feeling a lot of pain in his hand as well as his wrist right now. And this really sucks for Yu Chang, the person, because he was really coming into his own on this Red Sox team, specifically defensively. He was a huge part of this Red Sox team's defense coming together. On the field, he was in the 93rd percentile for outs above average, mostly at that shortstop position. He also had one defensive run saved and a positive defensive WAR at 0.2. Now, that doesn't seem like a lot, but you also have to remember that we've only played a certain amount of games, and Yu Chang has only been in a very small portion of those. For him to have that big of an impact defensively in this small of a sample size means that he was really, really great defensively, and you could tell just how much better this Red Sox team was defensively when Yu Chang was on the field. Now, offensively, Yu Chang wasn't exactly impressing anyone, but he was coming into his own there, and it was coming at clutch times. He did only have a 136 average and 44 at-bats, but in those 44 at-bats, he did have 3 home runs. 3 out of his 6 hits were extra base hits, and they were all home runs, right? So Yu Chang wasn't making a ton of contact, but when he was making contact, he was making it count, and honestly, they were usually in pretty big spots when the Red Sox were down or when the Red Sox needed runs. Again, Yu Chang was not a major contributor to this team, but he was a guy who was helping hold it together and set the stages for guys who were major contributors of this team. So we're immediately going to feel the loss of Yu Chang right off the bat on the field, specifically defensively and in the batter's box a little bit when it does come to right-handed power. So I do hope for Yu Chang's sake as a person that he gets healthy and happy as soon as humanly possible. Again, I think he was a great clubhouse guy. He was great on the field, and he was contributing a little bit in the batter's box, and that's really all we needed from him at the time. So as a person, I feel for you, Yu Chang, and I hope you get better as soon as possible. Now, for the Red Sox, this is another hit to an area where they were already lacking in depth. Trevor Story started the year on the IL. We all know what happened to him. Adalberto Mondesi started the year on the IL. He won't be ready till mid-May. So now you're down to really no options in terms of right-handed or switch hitting in middle infield depth on this Red Sox team. Now, the Red Sox did make moves to try and supplement the loss of Yu Chang. The Red Sox announced today that they are calling back up Emmanuel Valdez, who did spend a very, very limited amount of time in the major leagues after Yu Chang was put on the paternity list, which ended up only being one singular day. He didn't want to make the trip back to Taiwan, so he essentially just FaceTimed his wife through labor, which is kind of wild to me that MLB only gives you 3 days of paternity leave, but that's an entirely other discussion. Let's talk about how Emmanuel Valdez can affect this Red Sox team. So Yu Chang is obviously going to have to miss time, right? That bone is not going to heal overnight. The first thought is for the Red Sox was to put him on the 10-day IL. Now, I don't know what extent the bone fracture was and how long it's actually going to take in legitimate time, but I did some research and it looks like on average when you break that specific bone, it takes about 6 to 8 weeks to heal. Quick update on that, I did figure out how much time he's actually going to miss. Yu Chang announced that he's going to need surgery for this injury and that he's going to miss about 6 weeks. Now, Emmanuel Valdez does have some experience at the major league level. Like I mentioned, he was brought up for one singular game when Yu Chang was on the paternity list, and he did pretty good in that one game. He ended up getting the start, and in that start, he went 2 for 4 offensively, where he was letting the ball get deep into the zone and driving it the other way for singles, so he ended up with 2 singles. On the field, he didn't exactly look fantastic. He did end up with 1 error in his major league debut. Realistically, it probably should have been 2 or could have been 2. At the very least, he was dangerously close to a second one. I think at one point he was charged with 2 errors and it got taken away. So it doesn't look great defensively, but we kind of already knew that about Emmanuel Valdez. Now, the silver lining in all of this is that it's going to take time for Yu Chang's bone to heal, which is going to give Valdez a really great opportunity to make a big impression at the major league level. We've already talked about kind of what his impact could look like on this Red Sox team, right? We know that that defense isn't going to be stellar. He's not going to be a stellar defender. He may not even be an average defender, so that bat's going to have to make up for it. And he does have a lot of potential with that bat. Most scouts agree we have not seen what Valdez is fully capable of at the plate yet, but we have seen hints of it, and we did see a lot of it in spring training with a couple of big blasts and a couple of big doubles. So there is a chance that Emmanuel Valdez has the opportunity to make a legitimate impression on this Red Sox team. But the problem with Valdez remains the same, right? Right now, this Red Sox team is full of left-handed hitters, which is why Yu Chang giving us a tiny bit of power from the right-hand side really did mean a lot in the grand scheme of things. Without Yu Chang, you're getting even more left-handed heavy. Now your bench is left-handed heavy as well as your lineup. Alex Cora is going to have to get really, really creative as to how he's able to balance that right and left sort of back and forth lineup, especially in late innings when you're starting to see the right-handed starters come out of games and you're starting to see those lefty specialists kick in. Now for Emmanuel Valdez, my opinion, for the most part, he's going to be on the bench as sort of a bench spot role, as sort of a guy who comes into late innings. But with Christian Arroyo swinging the way he's swinging and the fact that he is trying to nurse his hamstring back to full health, we could see Emmanuel Valdez in a pretty decent amount of games, especially if we're going to be facing a lot of right-handed pitchers coming up in the next couple of days. Now, in my opinion, I don't know if Emmanuel Valdez is the answer for the entire time. I do not think that the Red Sox are going to go outside of their roster to go and get someone and bring them in. One, because you're going to have to clear a 40 spot to do that, and 2, because Adalberto Mondesi is about a month away from being eligible to come back. So unless the Red Sox can figure out some way to get a really great minor league deal for a guy who's had major league experience and who at the very least can fill in defensively for Yu Chang, I just don't see an outside option available. There is another option for the Red Sox when it comes to middle infield depth sitting in AAA, and that is David Hamilton, who's coming off of a really great start to his AAA campaign. So far with the Woo Sox, David Hamilton is hitting .339 with a .997 OPS. He also has that insane speed, and it looks like he's added a bit of power to his swing. He could definitely be an option for the Red Sox, depending on how long Yu Chang actually ends up being on the IL and how well Emmanuel Valdez is performing. The problem with David Hamilton is that, one, he's really not great defensively. He's sort of in the same boat as Emmanuel Valdez. He definitely has a better glove, but his arm is not very good. People don't really know how that's going to hold up at the major league level. And 2, again, he's another lefty, right? You're adding another lefty into this lineup and really removing some of that versatility for Alex Cora to play around with. But again, Emmanuel Valdez doesn't work out. David Hamilton's definitely another option. All in all, I think this really, really sucks for Yu Chang. Again, as a person, he was really coming into his own as a legitimate role player on this Red Sox team. So for him to go down in the midst of that just kind of hurts. And 2, do, this is going to affect the Red Sox in a big way. Again, I know Yu Chang was not a major contributor, but he was really important depth in a place where the Red Sox really didn't have a lot of depth. Hopefully, Emmanuel Valdez really does start to make a name for himself at the major league level, and we start to see, at least at the plate, what Emmanuel Valdez is truly capable of. And there is also the other option of David Hamilton as well. But let me know in the comment section down below, what do you think of all this? What do you think of Yu Chang's injury? What do you think of how long he's going to be on the IL? What do you think of the Red Sox move to replace him? And how do you think that's going to work out? Let me know all your thoughts on the latest Red Sox injury in the comment section down below. As always, if you made it to the end of this video, do me a favor. Make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, like I said, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. Helps these videos out a ton, and it would mean a lot to me. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one, and I will see you in tonight's live stream at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time and in the red seats.